engelska. Varmt välkomna.
Tack. Ja, jag heter alltså Martin Uggla och representerar Östgruppen. And we will switch to English.
Yes, let's switch to English better.
So that
I wish I could speak Swedish.
so that Katsiaryna can understand and as well. So, as you heard, with me on the stage, I have Katsiaryna Andrejeva, who is a Belarusian journalist working for the independent TV channel Belsat. And that might seem quite a normal thing to do for a living, but there is an odd moment to this because Belsat actually is not allowed to broadcast or even to work freely from within Belarus. So instead, the TV channel, the Belarusian TV channel Belsat, is based in Poland. And in some sense, it makes you, Katsiaryna, a foreign correspondent in your own country.
Yes, I am.
Reporting still on Belarusian topics for a Belarusian audience. And I would like to start this talk by asking you to give us some more context to this situation. What does the mass media climate in Belarus look like? And why can't Belsat be based inside the country?
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak here. It's a great pleasure for me and nice to see you all. So yes, I'm a Belarusian journalist, but the thing is that in Belarus we have no independent TV. I mean, all the TV channels are controlled by the state. We have like five or six TV channels, but they are all controlled by the state. So back in 2007, a group of Polish and Belarusian journalists decided to set up their own independent TV broadcasted in Belarus. Well, they tried. It was a nice try, but as soon as they started, Secret Service came up to them, and it all finished. So from 2007, they have to broadcast from Poland. We have our headquarters in Warsaw, and it is officially, Belsat TV is officially a department of Polish television, Polish national television. We cannot broadcast, we are not included in the list of TV channels which are like, when people like buy TV, they have all these channels included. So if people want to see to watch independent news and to watch our channel, they have internet or they have the satellite. But it's still a big problem because we are working illegally. In our country, if you are considered an independent, if you are considered a foreign journalist, because the headquarters is in Warsaw, so you need to get a permit from Ministry of International Affairs. We say Ministry of International Affairs, but we suppose KGB, the Secret Service, which acts in our country, in Belarus, and is still, they haven't changed the name since Soviet times. So yes, you are not, once you are not approved by the Secret Service, you cannot get this permit, and you cannot work freely. You are not considered a correspondent, and we're working totally illegally. So that's what we do. We are more than 20 person, I think, working in field in Belarus, but we still not only we don't only broadcast news, but also we write articles. We do multimedia and just do our regular journalistic work. Unfortunately, illegally, we get huge fines for that. And sometimes arrests. I spent 40 hours in jail for reporting in field. Police came and took me while I was streaming, live video stream. So they came to me and put me in the jail where I spent 40 hours. And then I was fined for $500 for working without this permit. I can go on, but I think it's better I stop now because I have so many things to tell you. I better stop now and let you ask more questions.
So, yeah, thank you. So what is it with Belsat that frightens the regime? Why is it so afraid of independent journalism? What is the problem with the state-controlled media?
As I said before, all TV channels are controlled by the state because our authorities, our government, and President Lukashenko, they are all afraid of the image. I mean, they are not so afraid of text, but they are afraid of the image because they still consider it the biggest power, and they realize it can make a huge impact on the audience, because our audience only have official Belarusian propaganda and Russian propaganda, which is much more modern than Belarusian, and it attracts people. So they only have our audience only have choice between Russian TV and official Belarusian TV, and Belsat offers something different. That's why the authorities are extremely afraid of us.
Mm. So who is your main target group then? Whom do you want to reach with your reporting? And do you reach them in practice? Because sometimes you got the impression that the independent journalists only reach the already convinced people.
A small group of people,
a quite small group of people. How do you work in order to reach out to broader layers of the population? Is it possible?
Let's say my aim as a journalist is to reach as more people as possible, of course. But I think that as far as we broadcast in the Belarusian language, we have two state languages, Russian and Belarusian, but the national is the only one, Belarusian. Russian is much more privileged in our country, and all authorities, all officers, they all speak Russian. And Belarusian is a kind of, if you speak Belarusian, you're opposition, and it's automatically, I mean. So I think we reach our audience are these intellectuals, these people who used to speak Belarusian and who are normally in opposition to Lukashenko and his regime. So I want to reach a bigger audience, but now, I mean, I just can't do this. I mean, I wish I could work legally to reach more people, to reach more, to make my audience bigger, but I just can't see any way to do this.
You mentioned the state-controlled media and the state-controlled television channels. I'd like to ask you, to what extent is TV an important mass media in Belarus? How important is TV vis-a-vis other kinds of mass media?
Well, most important mass media for people of my age, let's say, is social networks, of course. We all get information from there, but frankly speaking, I don't know if TV is as powerful as it was like 10 years or 15 years ago. But I think people need to get independent news from all kinds of media, TV, internet, like websites, social networks, all these digital tools we have now. There is no difference for me because I consider myself like a universal journalist. I mean, I can write, I can talk, I can, for me it's better to work more on this, but the first issue that we have to solve is that problem that our government doesn't let us work freely. Because, for example, I will never get this permit from the authorities because I, work for Belsat TV.
You already mentioned that you yourself did suffer some different kinds of repression. What are the other obstacles that you face, that Belsat reporters face in Belarus trying to do their work?
As I said before, my colleagues usually face huge fines for working in the field. It looks like that they are like with microphone working, streaming. Police comes and they take them to the station. Sometimes they spend 3 hours there. If everything is okay, everybody's in good mood. But if something goes wrong or there is a or there is a decision from somebody on the top, they can spend 15 days. For example, our cameraman, the cameraman who took this picture, screenshot of video, so he was arrested for 15 days. And he spent 15 days in jail just for working without permit from the government. I mean, it's not just a permit, it's an official paper. They have to sign it. Many officers have to sign it before you get it. And once you're not approved, you can try. I sent many requests to them, like, please give me this permit. I want to work legally, but they never even reply. So huge fines, like $500, $1,000 for that, or arrest. I spent 40 hours on that day. He doesn't look very happy, yeah, the police guy. So, yeah, I thought it was going to be 3 hours, but it resulted to be 40, and then they took me to the trial and fined me for $500.
This autumn, there will be parliamentary elections in Belarus in November.
The 17th of November, yeah.
And next year, there will be presidential elections. Traditionally, we see that the degree of repression gets higher at times of political campaigning.
It always becomes higher when we are at elections. It's something awful because, I mean, parliamentary, how do you say it? Parliament elections, yeah. It's not as awful as presidential because we all remember to 2010, year 2010, when many people, like thousands, 100,000 people came to the street, and there were like hundreds of arrests and criminal cases. Yeah, but this year we're gonna have parliament elections. I think they're gonna be nothing new. We never know the real result of these elections. It's not about Belarus, and people in Belarus, young people in Belarus, are mostly afraid of some provocations from Russia during the elections now, but it doesn't mean that Belarusian government doesn't have their own plan for this. Yes, we're expecting repressions, and we're expecting repressions against journalists as usual.
Thank you. You mentioned Russia, and perhaps we shouldn't forget about the fact that there is another actor on the media scene in Belarus. It's not only Belsat and the state-controlled Belarusian TV channel, but are also Russian broadcasters working in the country. What impact do they have? And
Russian TV and Russian propaganda has huge impact on people, on average viewer of TV in Belarus. They come home in the evening and they turn on TV, and it's almost like every TV in every house is Russian TV channels with all these talk shows with aggression and so on. So it's very popular. It's even more popular than state-controlled Belarusian channels, and this is a big problem. That's why on Belsat we have special projects against fake news and against all this Russian propaganda. We're focused on that also.
Mm-hmm. So Belsat is an independent channel, but it's supported from abroad. It's supported from the Polish government.
Yes, it is supported by the Polish government.
Does that mean that you feel some kind of extra protection? Well, I think that when you are suffering repression, there should be some kind of reaction from the Polish government, for example. Does
Yes.
it work like a protection for you?
I wish we had more protection. I think the embassy, they make a statement if somebody from Belsat TV goes to the jail. When they took me to the jail, there was such statement, I think, but it's always just a statement. And your colleagues who who publish 100 posts at minute on social networks, but that's all. I think we really need more protection.
What kind of protection would you need?
We need more support from Polish officials. I think definitely we need more. I felt this when I was there, and of course we need more support from the society, because our society, 25 years of Lukashenko regime, they start getting
Likgiltiga. How's that in English? Indifferent. Thank you.
Yes, sorry, I haven't had a practice my English for a long time. They start getting indifferent, like really indifferent. They don't care. Sometimes I think they just don't care about repressions against journalists anymore. And we definitely need more support from the society, from Belarusian society in general, and from Polish officials.
Thank you. I think that our time's up, and we have to close this talk. But you will be participating in some other seminars as well during this book fair, and we will welcome you back to these coming seminars with Katsiaryna. I will want to thank you for participating today.
Thank you very
I
much.
want
It
to
was a
thank
big
you all
pleasure
for
for
listening.
me. Thank you.